Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to craft beautiful and lush string sounds when you're mixing. We're going to be diving into mixing a string track today, but before we jump in, if you are ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio ready mixes without any more of the guesswork and without any more of the hassle. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and take a look at mixing some strings. Let me of course start by playing you this track. I have the vocal muted because this track isn't quite finished and it's not released yet, so we're saving that for release, but you can hear the instrumental mix of this track so far, and I want you to hear where the strings sit inside of the mix, and then I'll solo up the strings so you can hear our finished string mix as well. So if I can find my microphone here. So lost. All right. I'm going to hit play, and you can hear where our finished mix is sitting at the moment. You can hear it's soft, it's very smooth, it's a very gentle and pleasing sound to the ear to have out wide in a softer track like this. It's a very, very beautiful sort of sound we have going on these strings. So I want to show you how we got this sound, and it's not that hard. A couple plugins, a couple moves, and we're sitting exactly where we want inside the track. Let me show you what we started with, and I'll click our plugins on and off here. You can hear our before and after. So here's before, here's where we started. So you can see we're taking them from being a little bit darker, a little bit duller sounding. They're kind of flat and digital, and we wake them up with a little bit of processing, just some EQ and just some compression. We're giving them that brightness and that beautiful air that we want to hear across the top of our string. So let me start with just our EQ here. You can see it's only 2 moves. So the first thing we're doing here on our strings is a high pass filter. I'm rolling this high pass filter up quite a bit here. You can see we're up at about 250 hertz, 258 hertz, 12 dB per octave slope. So not too aggressive with the slope. We're using a medium slope, but it allows us to kind of etch into the low mid territory here and roll some of that low mid heaviness off on the string. So take a listen without this high pass, and then I'll kick it in. It's not an aggressive move, it's not a big cut, it's just using the gentle slope of the high pass filter of our return here to roll into our low mid territory and just take some of that heaviness, some of that muddiness out of the sound here around 300 and up towards 400 hertz. We could use a cut here, but I'm just using the high pass filter because it has that smoother return on it, which gives us that more gentle shape as we reduce the low mid area, and it kind of helps us reach up towards the high mid area here with our cut, or while we're reducing our low mid area. So that's our first move here. Now, before I boost top end, I do like to get my compression in place. And something that I really love on strings or smoother sounds like this, anything like pads, organ strings, I love using this Fairchild emulation, this FC670 here from PreSonus. To me, it gives the sound some width and some bigness here. So I've just pushed up our input gain a little bit here so we get some of that Fairchild sound, some of that analog vibe. Our threshold is all the way up at 8 here because it is a softer sound, and then I've got the time constant all the way up. So very, very fast here with our timer, as fast as we can be with this unit. So take a listen without, and then I'll kick it in. You can hear we're getting some volume from it because we're pushing our input gain up, excuse me, but it's volume that comes with energy and analog character from running through or from pushing into this FC670 emulation. And like I said, to me, it always feels like the Fairchild compressors give you a little bit of extra width and presence in your track. So listen one more time and kind of pay attention. We get that volume bump, but pay attention to how it feels like our strings start to reach out a bit further in the track. So without and then with the compressor. We get that volume, but we also get that extra energy, that extra analog vibe, so it rolls off some of those digital, some of those dull edges, and it helps our strings just reach out that much further so they feel that much bigger in our track. Now, it does something nice to the top end. It feels like our top end's reaching out, which is what gives us that extra perception of width. So we're going to take that a step further, and we're going to emphasize that pretty top end on our string track here. And we're doing it on the same EQ before our compressor. So we're pushing more top end into that same Fairchild compressor now. We're up at about 6K. With digital strings like this or any kind of keyboard patch strings, you don't want to boost too high, so like 8, 9K, 10K, because then you're going to start bringing up noise from your keyboard. You want to boost a little bit lower, and that'll help you bring up that brightness and also increase your perception of that top end air on the sound. So take a listen without and then with this boost. We're at about 6K, 5.92K, boosting 6.24 dB, and I've widened the Q just a little bit so it reaches down into the high mids as well as up into the super, super highs here. So take a listen without this boost, and then I'll kick it in. We already got that deep, lush sort of sound with our strings, rolling off some of that heaviness, and then getting the compressor on to get that analog vibe. Boosting this 6K area, that's what gives us that pretty top end and helps make our strings feel beautiful inside a softer track like this. So let's throw them back inside the mix here, and I'll A/B both our plugins. You can hear how our strings sound before and after in the track. You can hear without our processing, the strings sound very dull, very flat. They're subtle sounding inside the track. Once we kick our EQ and our compression on, we get that big, beautiful string sound that we want to hear, and it gives us that extra width that helps our strings be present and airy in the mix. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.